Yeah, thanks, Andrea. I think my new PR contract works great. Oh, hi! You just caught me on a work call using Surfshark. You want to hear more about it? Well, this is your lucky day. With Surfshark at this public cafe I'm at, hey man, how you doing? I don't have to worry about the dangers of public Wi-Fi. Surfshark protects my data, keeping my identity secure, so I can do my video calls in peace. Mikkel, I just think a little bit more flexibility with our press, and we could create many more dangerous moments off our turnovers. Mikkel? Surfshark also allows me to block annoying ads, trackers, and cookie pop-ups with the Clean Web Ad Blocker. But the best part is I can install it across all my devices, so I'm protected wherever I go. Isn't that right, guys? Look, they're buzzing! Yay, Surfshark! What's more, with over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, Surfshark can help you access your favorite content from anywhere. I can watch my favorite YouTube content in peace. If you download Surfshark today, you get 4 months extra for free with my code TDK. Link is in the description. Anyway, I've got a call with Stan Kroenke next to talk through our summer plans. Download Surfshark and you can get one too. Direct line to Stan Kroenke, not available through Surfshark. Other stuff definitely is though. Thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring The Different Knock. Welcome back to... What a terrifying tifo. They must have been quaking. Arsenal 0, PSG 1. An Ousmane Dembele post and in shinner, the only difference between two top teams in the first leg of this UEFA Champions League semi-final. Arsenal now face an agonising week-long wait for their trip to Paris to right the wrongs of an, at times, depressing first leg at the Emirates. I had a hunch that it could be a tough night, even if I fancied us as a good stylistic matchup for PSG on paper. But the semi-finals of the Champions League aren't played on paper. They're played with me getting up for 4 nervous wheeze during the game because I drunk so much water to get rid of a stress headache. Nope, not joking. No one ever said winning the Champions League would be easy. No one ever said we'd sail through to the final with no problems, brush PSG off with ease over 180 minutes, and leave without a bead of sweat dripped. That was never a fair expectation. We were always going to go through some pain. And it seems like that was the night. Let's hope it was just that night. But if you're ready to give up 1-0 on aggregate going into the second leg of a semi-final in any sport, I mean, fair enough, you're a fan, that's your right, you pay your money. But in my mind, that is exactly the same weak mentality that you're probably the sort to accuse the players of having. Maybe we will go out, but let's die trying. There's things we did right, there's things we did wrong, there's mitigating circumstances, there's opportunities to get better. Let's talk about it all and try and get some kind of sense of how we beat PSG next week. Because trust me, we are not that far away. This was always going to be decided in Paris. Firstly, were we bad? Taught a footballing lesson? No. In fact, I go further. We were, in my opinion, the better team on the night. Maybe you could argue it was just about even, and if so, fair enough. But there were suggestions we were totally outplayed, which I just outright disagree with. We were outscored, but you are just doing results-based analysis if you say PSG outplayed Arsenal. In my opinion, there's no other way of putting it. The facts are, Arsenal beat PSG for expected goals, shots on target, field tilt, final third entries, expected threat, deep touches, zone 14 touches, open play crosses, progressive passes, dribbles, and many other metrics not included here. PSG shaded Arsenal by 2% possession and completed 34 more passes, just for fairness' sake. But Arsenal also had more big chances. If you can look at that and use the phrase PSG outplayed Arsenal, I don't think you know what outplayed means, Alan Shearer. What they did do is put a big chance away, and it was poor defending from us, no doubt. It's hard to say who exactly is at fault, but Ousmane Dembele being in that much space for that long on the edge of the box, when we know how he likes to drop in, because Arteta mentioned it in his post-match, and we all have eyes, is simply unacceptable. It's literally exactly the same goal they score at Anfield, slight difference in the end, but the same build-up sequence and structure. Go wide to the left, create the counter movement centrally, Dembele drops in, attack both wings, boom. There's a lack of clarity on responsibility at the business end. Saka should maybe cover the space. Marino maybe should shuffle across. Does Dek need to support Timber here? Or does it all start earlier with Martinelli not quite tucking in? Maybe, maybe not. And I suspect Partey's absence was a big factor. But it's poor defending regardless. Even if it does go in off his shin. And no, I won't let the shin bit go. We have to learn from that. For the, I watched the game with my eyes, mate. Don't need numbers. Crowd. Fair enough. PSG had some big moments and they were arguably better on the eye. They had that moment with Ramos where he gets through and hits the crossbar, let off for sure, although a hint of offside. Doué produces a fine save from Raya, probably a let off as well. Barkel also has his miss, but Ramos is definitely offside in the build-up, and it would have been ruled out. But for Arsenal, Trossard is clean through, one action away, big save. Martinelli is clean through, big save. Saka to Martinelli at the back post, it's so tight, he gets a toe to it. Marino has a goal ruled out. João Neves has an incredible recovery tackle on Marino. What a ball winner, by the way, before a tap-in. Saka doesn't foul Mendes, he wins the ball back, and it's potentially a big moment. It's Saka free there. We were very close to a very different analysis here. So the idea we were taught a footballing lesson, I just can't get on board with. Could we have created more? Sure. But this is Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League semi-final. Liverpool, a team I'm sure we're looking at going, well, they would create more chances with all their brilliant attacking prowess and an almost entirely fit squad, by the way, only created 0.3 more XG across the entire 2 legs against PSG than we did in one night. But this is the level. This is the competition. You have to finish your chances, and we didn't. That's it. It wasn't helped by some excellent shot stopping by Donnarumma, but if we finish the same way at the Parc des Princes, we're out. No matter how good we are, no matter how much we create big chances. Simple as that. So we have to learn from that. We're just not as far away as it might seem. The first 20 minutes were really poor. I think we were scared of their running. I think we were shell-shocked by the early goal when we looked like losing every single second ball. We didn't look ready somehow. I think they basically gambled that we didn't have that much of a transition threat and were therefore trying to blow us away, committing as many bodies forward as possible early on. Here's our touch map after 20 minutes, according to Opta, the PSG end on the right. Not looking good, Brev. But we reacted. And after we reacted, we didn't let up much at all, in my opinion. I know we joke about field tilt, but it's a pretty good measurement of who's dominating a game by one metric at least. And you can see here where it shifted. Arsenal having a lot of the ball in dangerous high areas for large spells of the remainder of the game. So how did we do that? And how do we repeat it? In his post-match presser, Mikel spoke about us having a tactical issue that we solved after about 15 to 20 minutes. He didn't reveal much, but he said, quote, it was an issue with the ball that meant we didn't have the chance to press them and they had the chance to bring all their midfielders back. Can I be honest? I have no idea what he's referring to. Off the ball, we definitely did change one thing that helped us. We shifted from Ødegaard being in the first line of the press in the opening stages into a slightly different structure later on. As far as I see it, although people will have different interpretations, the issue before was that our pressing shape was too easily disconnected. We were trying to go Leo, Ødegaard, Saka on their 3 in build-up and then asking Declan and Marino to cover the 2 in the pivot. But with a bit of movement, space could be made, as it was for the goal, which then gave Martinelli a dilemma. Go with the runner or retain shape. We later shifted that, and Ødegaard came deeper to free up our central midfielders from the pivot to allow for a bit more coverage. It gave them a +1 in the first line, but less chance to pull us apart. But what the in-possession change Mikel's referring to is, whether he's just using different terminology for that change, or maybe he's talking about something completely different, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Regardless, this isn't a day where we got all the tactics wrong and didn't react. We did. To me, you could argue the story of the game is we got it wrong, yep. We then sorted it, and then they couldn't react for 70 minutes, only creating anything above 0.1 XG on those 2 chances as we push for the game late on after 30 minutes. So hopefully, we can get it right from the off next week. However, we did get other things wrong all night. We had a real problem getting the ball out to Bukayo Saka, particularly in dangerous positions. Partly on Ødegaard's performance, partly systemic, partly PSG doing well to block the entry pass and overload him, pinning our fullbacks and forcing us to build left. They starved him of touches. And one of our big problems with our game model in general, in my opinion, not just against PSG, is that when teams are overloading Saka, we don't make use of the underloaded side very well at all, with switches, playing with tempo, or attacking diagonally. Saka had 41 touches against PSG, and that's a problem when he's undeniably our most threatening player. But that deficit is also a potential opportunity, which we also don't exploit. We could see him popping in narrower as the game went on, as more of a 9, if you want to call it that, to get some touches at some points. And we were attempting some switches out to him. But really, it's on a night like this that I can't help but feel frustration with Mikel at his risk aversion to trying to fix this. Because what can Ben White do from a late sub with 7 minutes remaining of normal time? And if Timber wasn't struggling, I don't think he would have even come on. I guess Mikel's worry is White up against Kvaratskhelia, for example, and fine. But I think we have this idea that Ben White is some horrific 1v1 defender. Okay, he's not Timber, but he's not Mustafi. It's risk versus reward, especially with where the game was at that point. Is it worth the potentially one hairy moment going backwards to unlock our best player, in my opinion? Fitness is maybe an issue for Ben White, but 20 minutes, come on. Saka's our best player. If he doesn't have runners around him, he can't do what he does best. Pause the game when he has it, see what they're doing to him. It doesn't take a genius to work out he needs running around him to unlock him. Or if not, we have to maximise the underloaded side. Mikel's usage of his wingers is beyond frustrating at times. And let's see if anything changes next week. Another problem for me on the night, offsides. 4 offsides in that PSG game. There's only been 5 games this season in all competitions where we've committed more, and one of them was the 120 minutes against United in the FA Cup. Maybe credit to their back line. But guys, just stay on side.
That's his job.
For a team who don't really rely on pacing behind or playing off the last shoulder, it does frustrate me because it slows things down. It's 4 stoppages that we don't need. It's bad enough with our 4-hour delays for every set piece, but at least those sometimes work. And there are some individuals who need to step up as well. And I hate to say it because I spoke about him last week, but one of them is Martin Odegaard. I don't take any joy in this. I don't enjoy player wars. I don't enjoy the discourse around this. But 0.08 expected assists, only 1 key pass, a 20% dribble success rate, 3 ground duels 1 out of 8, and possession lost 13 times isn't good enough for a captain in a semi-final first leg at home. And I don't think it worries only me. 5 minutes to go, desperate for a goal, the manager takes him off for a teenager. What's he doing? Saving Odegaard's legs for the Premier League? Of course he's brilliant off the ball. Of course he might be injured, and that would explain plenty. Of course there's positives. We shouldn't have to caveat to protect feelings all the time. It should go without saying. But his level isn't high enough right now. Forget my opinion. He said that himself. We need a big old conversation about this at a calmer time. But for now, Martin, please give us something in the second leg, because right now I just feel too much apathy and fatigue in your actions. If I'm being fair though, there were other individuals who need to take a look at themselves as well. Timber sorted himself out eventually, but Kvaratskhelia was running rings around him for the first 20 and arguably could have given away a penalty. He was much better in the second half in my view, but he lost the ball 15 times and won only 3 out of 10 ground duels according to SofaScore. Raya was a touch nervy too for me at points, especially in the first half, going long to no one a few too many times. This all needs fixing before France. But you can't talk about this game without mentioning the impact of no Thomas Partey. After his suspension in Madrid, there was a lot of talk about how you replace him. And I've had my criticism of Thomas Partey this season, but he's never come out of my 11. And right now, we can't replace him. I think that's arguably the biggest factor. It's not just the fact that he isn't there individually. The physicality, the progression, the engine, the experience, the threat from the edge of the box, and so on. It's the knock-on effect. I felt one of Arsenal's big problems in those opening 20 or so was having no outball. To relieve some pressure, I felt we might have benefited from going long to a Kai Havertz for a little bit, gain a bit of territory and earn a bit of breathing space. Next best option after Kai is Marino, but we couldn't do that either. No Partey, no Jorginho. Declan has to drop in. No way Trossard plays midfield these days, so he goes in there. And you lose that long option completely. It also means you bring Marino into midfield. Not bad per se, but with its limitations in highly technical battles against the likes of Vitinha. But arguably worst of all, you move Declan out of a really important position. You lose him sniffing out balls to stop the transition, crashing the box, his running and jumping up in often dual responsibilities in the press. One player out completely changed Arsenal characteristically on and off the ball. It's not a straight swap, it's 3 positions with completely different dynamics, because one guy decided to shove Jude Bellingham. Having Partey back for the second leg is going to be absolutely key, and I think we can expect an uptick in performance. But having Rice further forward with a bit more support behind him might also unlock something else. There were 2 particular incidents that stood out to me, both of which led to arguably Arsenal's 2 biggest chances. 44th minute, Mars breaks through, brilliant slip ball to Martinelli, should make it 1-1. 55th minute, Rice steps through the midfield, passes to Trossard, should make it 1-1. And both of those come from the same thing, ball carrying. It really hurts them. Miles sees the space in front of him, makes that decision to drive right through the heart of them. There are 6s and 7s running over their shoulder. Rice sees that space open up, they're running over the shoulder, they have nothing for him. Desiree Doué left in his wake. For me, that's because in the construction of their midfield, they don't have a big space ball winner like we do in a Rice or a Marino. What they have is brilliant ball winners, But small space guys like João Neves, who are excellent one-on-one or at nicking in ahead of you, but not necessarily hunting you down over long distances or anticipating you. So when you run through them, they can panic. What you'll also notice in those screenshots is the height of the fullbacks, particularly Hakimi, in a lot of these situations. If we can bypass that, using Hakimi's position as our cue to carry, then the space will be, naturally, out wide left. It's no mistake, both of those passes go to our left-sided player in that moment. With Rice higher, Miles there, maybe even Saliba, I think we can hurt them if we carry the ball at pace, at the right times, and we can exploit them. We should also acknowledge that alongside Partey's suspension, Arsenal still have Jorginho, Havertz, Gabriel, Calafiori, Jesus and Tomiyasu all out. I'd say there's definitely 2, maybe 3 or 4 starters there. PSG had a full squad available on the night, literally everyone fit and firing, and a quick look at the benches tells its own story. I'm not here to complain or make excuses about that. We've been dealing with that all season. The task is to win the Champions League no matter what the circumstances. And I think we can do it. But to not factor that in when assessing this performance, especially when our issues, in my opinion, directly relate to not having someone like a Kai Havertz or not having a Thomas Partey, to me is unfair. If you look at the best performing teams in Europe right now, but through football history, they have their best 11s available, and we don't. And that's a fact. At least one is returning, and we're hopeful of another before a potential final. I'm sure there will be a lot of doom and gloom this week. Understandably, we got stuff wrong, but we've never been in this position before, and we're playing, in many ways, with one hand tied behind our back. We have room to be hopeful. Arsenal's away record is excellent, as we know. In the Champions League this season, away from home, we've conceded 5 goals in 6 matches, and never more than 1 in any one match. The last time Arsenal lost by a 2-goal margin away from home in Europe under Arteta, October 2022. PSG are a brilliant team too, that should be said. Credit to them. Enrique sets them up really well. But they are not infallible. They are not unbeatable. Same as us. And I think I felt in that second half, our players basically going, I think we're a match for you. And maybe we're better than you in certain key things. Remember that and take that to France. Okay, pick up Dembele. Fix our press from the off. Find Saka, or if we can't, use the fact that we can't. Finish our chances, as always. Bring back Partey. Carry more. Please step up individuals, especially Ødegaard, and don't be scared because we can still win this tie. It's 1 goal. 1 goal and we're back level. We are 1 shot, 1 pass, 1 action away from leveling up this tie. It has to happen and we can make it happen. We have to go now and make our own history. Don't project the past onto now. This isn't the same Arsenal team of 10, 5, even 2 years ago. It's different. Declan, Bukayo, Saliba, Raya, Trossard, Miles. These are all personalities that I think know how big this is and will believe going into that second leg they can turn it around. Turn it around. We're acting like we're 4-0 down. It's 1 goal. Just play our game and make our own history. Until that final whistle blows in Paris, I, for one, will believe. Thanks so much for watching. If you like The Different Knock, you can support us on Patreon and get ad-free early access to each video for just £3 a month. Or for one-time support, you can buy us a coffee. Links are in the description.